My fellow Ugandans are by the names of Hamis Kiggundu, commonly known as Ham, CEO Ham Enterprises. It is very unfortunate that in Uganda today, we've drawn our focus on things like social events, drama and comedy, yet really we've lost focus on system structures and policies. Yet these are the fundamental factors on which each and every country or nation grows. It is so unfortunate that Ugandans are either unbothered, or they simply leave it unnoticed, or simply they don't attain to structures and systems. Today in Uganda we have a very weak banking structure which is totally compromised. Yes, it is right, we received our independence in 1962, but it is unfortunate that we still lack economic independence. The Ugandan banking industry is 95% owned by foreign banks, which is not bad because they come in to help and they come in with capital. The unfortunate bit is that at least they should fully own these banks. I'm of the view and opinion that Ugandans should have a shareholding in all these banks operating their businesses in Uganda. It is unfortunate that the decision makers or the would-be directors sit outside and they don't have sight on the prevailing circumstances on ground on a daily basis. So I call upon government to make reforms to that effect. Secondly, these banks mainly employ foreigners when it comes to MDs and CEOs, even merely managers, which I find so unfair to Uganda as a country. Because Uganda has had a very good educational system for quite a long period of time, I'm of the view that we have qualified accountants and financials that have got the capacity to hold these jobs of MDs and in each and every bank, or managers, or even CEOs. I call upon government to make a reform at least for each and every bank operating in Uganda. The MD should be Ugandan. It is of an advantage that when we have a local manager in a bank or MD, they can easily address problems of ordinary Ugandans. It is a fact that not all Ugandans are educated. Some are illiterate, but they find it as a barrier to communicate to these foreign MDs, mainly Indians maybe and whites. So they are closed out of the entire banking system and banking services, which I find completely unfair. Thirdly, these banks are very discriminative, yet they are operating within our motherland, Uganda. It is very unfortunate and very discomforting. They are discriminative when it comes to matters like giving loans. They can easily give loans to foreigners than to Ugandans. Where a foreigner would walk into a bank 2 days or 2 weeks and receives a loan, it will take a Ugandan a full year or years to receive the same loan, which I find very unfair. When it comes to interest rates, foreigners enjoy better interest rates as compared to Ugandans. Whereas foreigners are getting interest rates of 16% and below, Ugandans are getting interest rates of 20, 23 and above, which I find completely unfair in our banking system and structure. Foreigners are given much more money with ease, yet Ugandans are limited to smaller loans. This stops Ugandans or hinders them from going into developmental projects that require substantial amounts of money that can make an impact, like agro-processing and putting up factories, projects that can make a difference in our country and to all Ugandans at large. So I call upon government that when it comes to issues of distribution of money in banks, this is evident in their balance books. Go to any loan book of any bank in Uganda, majority of these foreign banks. How many Ugandans have a loan above 5 or 10 and above million as a facility? It is very discomforting, yet it is a fact. So how will Ugandans develop themselves at individual levels, the societies where we stay, as well as our country at large, when we don't even have access to capital in these banks? It is very unfortunate and it's very discriminative. These banks equally come in as investors, yet they have very limited capital. They are undercapitalized. I call upon government to call upon these banks to recapitalize, to follow within the gap of foreign investment and to earn our respect. These banks come into Uganda with capital of approximately 40 to 50 billion Ugandan shillings. As long as they deposit the 25% with BOU, and then the remaining 5 to 10 billion is used to form up structures. At that particular moment, they start advertising aggressively, lowering in Ugandans to bring savings and deposits, which becomes the capital base of their cooperating capital. So at the end of the day, they're even using our money as capital to run their banking business, which I find completely unfair and very unreasonable. These banks, at the end of the day, which is very discomforting and very disheartening, they do what we call profit repatriation. Profit repatriation, where they take all the money out of this country. They deprive this country of its capital, which capital is necessary and essential for development of our systems and structures in areas like agriculture, factories and industries. They take this money every year under the disguise of funny laws that they can't invest here to outcompete those they borrow or lend, which is outdated. Does this apply in all those developed countries like America and European countries? No. They are simply exploiting this nation. So I call upon government to call upon these banks and put regulations in place that capital money made in Uganda should stay in Uganda. This money should be used maybe to explore our untapped resources. Why do we look for investors to come and invest in our oil and gas industries? Yet we have banks that have been taking money out ever since the colonial times. Why don't they use it to capitalize their banks so that their single borrowers limits raise and Ugandans can access much more bigger loans to help them invest in developmental projects like agro-processing and value addition? These banks have also compromised our legal system and structure. Our legal framework is very weak when it comes to factors like banking laws and regulations. It is evident and it's a fact that no person goes to a bank unless they are financially stable. By the time a person goes to a bank, that means they are financially sound. Majority of these people go to banks either when they have land and they need construction funds, when they've already started construction and they need money to complete the project, or when they have small businesses and need to expand their businesses. So at the end of the day, the banks come in as a support, a financial support structure or system to help these people move up. But it is very unfortunate and very discomforting that a bank gives a Ugandan a loan for 5 years. 3 years down the road, when someone has been paying sufficiently for the last 3 years, all the monthly installments, he only defaults for 3 months and they come in to take all their properties, which is completely wrong. If someone runs to courts of law to have an account audit and reconciliation, banks hide under a regulation under the Mortgage Act, which is Regulation 13. This Regulation 13 requires that anyone who has interest to have legal proceedings against any banking institution in Uganda, they shall first be required to deposit 30% with that bank, which I find completely unfair, contradictory, repugnant, and inconsistent to Article 28 of the Constitution that provides for a right to fair hearing to each and every Ugandan, or Article 26 of the Constitution that provides right to property. But banks have used it to explore. How can a person who has come to court who has run to court for justice be turned into a victim by asking him to first make a deposit before he can be heard by these courts of law? It is totally unfair, and I think this should be changed. That is why me as Hamis Enterprises, I took DTB to court because they tried to apply this on me and they were unsuccessful. Though they were unsuccessful, I managed to fight them off. But still, I said this is an issue for all Ugandans. I decided to proceed with a constitutional petition, number 11, at the Constitutional Court, to have this unfair law scrapped out of our legal structure and system. I call upon all Ugandans, please let us join hands when it comes to elements of structures and systems as fundamental pillars to take our country forward. We come together and support each other. A problem for Uganda is a problem for each and every Ugandan. It is our obligation to see that our country moves forward. May God bless us, and may God bless our country, Uganda.